Entitled people think it's okay to use the private property where I live as they please. This is something that has been happening for at least 12 years. I'll start off with some background in order to explain why the situation has become so infuriating by now. I live in a small apartment building on a very busy street, with a small plaza with a school right across the street, as well as plenty of shops and banks around, so you can imagine there are way too many people passing by every day. Almost all apartment buildings have their main entrance right on the sidewalk, but in our case it's different. In order to get to the building entrance you enter a short and tiny path, a few steps long, which has a staircase to the basement on the left side and a few steps going up on the right. So you go up the steps and there is a little open space with the building door. This path is obviously part of the private property that comes with the building, and it's obvious from the fact that it is between the building and the adjacent piece of land and is not part of the public sidewalk. This, however, has not stopped people from using this open space as they please, as if they own everything here and can do whatever they want. The thing is, all residents here are also owners of the respective apartments they live in, just like the apartment I live in is owned by my family, and have been living here for at least 17 years. So you can imagine that by now they are all sick of this type of situation because it's their own actual property. The most common occurrence was people using the left staircase, the one leading to the basement, as their personal toilet. They'd literally just take a short detour from the sidewalk into our private property, go down the stairs and do their business. Until a few years ago, when we installed metal gates to block access to the basement, this was an almost daily event. I mean, there is a pizza place right across the street, a coffee shop right next to the path entrance, and a few other coffee shops around the area. But I'm guessing people preferred our basement because it was free. I'd hear stories from my mom who would happen to be present when random pedestrians thought of using our basement, and she'd tell me how she yelled at them. I only happened to run into one person, an old man, while he was doing his business, and I yelled at him, saying, "Have you seen me come to your home to urinate? What gives you the right to do so at my home?" And when he replied, "I have a condition that requires me to visit the bathroom frequently," I said, "If you need a bathroom, there are so many places around here that actually have one, and if you need a free one then go urinate on your own doorstep. Otherwise, don't bother leaving your home at all." People probably heard me all the way to the bus stop next block, because I was getting stares when I got there. Could have also been because of the fact that I was furious and literally shaking. The other common occurrence is young people using this area as a hangout spot and littering. Our apartment building has 3 apartments used as learning centers. One is for computers, so it gets mostly teenagers, and the other 2 are for elementary school kids. The elementary school kids come and go with their parents, so we have no problems with them, but the teenagers are a different sort. Those would sometimes use even the inside of the building, talking and smoking and littering. Thankfully, this only lasted a short while because they'd get caught by my mother and her brother. I'm not talking about waiting around for a few minutes for your friend to come downstairs so you can leave together. I'm talking about staying for over an hour, being loud and throwing trash around. As if the teenagers were not enough, during the quarantine our property would be used as a hangout place for people of older ages as well. They'd grab coffee from the coffee shop next to the path entrance, and then come to the building entrance and hang out, talk loudly and always litter. Since then, it's more common to find trash laying around every morning than it is to not find anything. This brings me to last week's incident. It was around 1:20 a.m. when I started hearing sounds of people laughing, hitting each other, and talking loudly this late at night. There is also a chance they had come earlier and I had not noticed. After so many years it feels like white noise if it's below a certain noise level, though that's highly unlikely because my balcony is right above the building entrance, and that group was way too loud. I live 3 floors above ground, my balcony doors which provide decent soundproofing were closed, and those people still sounded like they were next door. It's not like I was trying to sleep and they were disrupting the silence. I was just annoyed because it was really late at night, and they had no business being there in the first place. So, after waiting 20 minutes to see if they would leave, and hearing that they hadn't left, I stepped out onto the balcony to observe and see whether I would need to intervene. Upon stepping outside I saw a big group of boys, probably within the 15 to 20-year-old range, just being too loud and acting like they were at their own home. To be honest, I usually feel a little scared when it's just me against a big group, even from the safety of my home, so I didn't immediately say anything, and being on the 3rd floor, they never noticed me. I observed them for about 10 minutes in order to make sure I needed to intervene, and to gather enough courage to do so, or rather, to gather enough anger so I would not care about being afraid, haha. After observing them for those 10 minutes I saw that they apparently had no intent of leaving or lowering the sound levels. They were also smoking and throwing their cigarettes on the ground right in front of the building. One of them threw his still-lit cigarette in the vacant piece of land next to ours which has green plants. At that point I was fuming. Enough is enough, we don't need a fire on top of everything, so I was waiting for a trigger to set me off. That was when I saw one of the boys, who had left a few minutes earlier, come back with a snack. The coffee shop at the path entrance is open 24/7. Tear off a piece of the packaging, throw it on the ground, take out the snack and throw the rest of the packaging on the ground. That was when I lost it, and I suddenly yelled, in the middle of the night when none of them was expecting to hear a voice. "Is that how you throw trash around in your own home?" I swear, the look of shock and mild terror as he looked up was so worth it. He stuttered. "No, I'm going to throw it away, I swear." I had no more patience, so I said, "You pick it up and throw it in the trash bin this very moment, info. The trash bin is right at the path entrance, literally a few steps away from where he was standing, and all of you get up and get out of here. If you want to hang out, the plaza across the street is a fine spot." One of them tried giving me an attitude, saying, "Or what? You'll call the police?" I said, "We have every right to do so, this is private property. Go on public property, or if you have the guts, go to your own homes to be so loud and to throw cigarettes and trash around." They slowly got up and started going down the steps to exit the property. The one with the attitude tried making a joke. "It's our citizen right to be here." And I said, "For public property only. Get out of here and good riddance." I stayed there watching to make sure they all left. The one with the snack packaging was looking up the whole time as he was leaving, either to check whether I was still there or to remember my face. But they all left and didn't come back. I swear, the adrenaline rush after they left was so much, it took me another 2 hours to feel sleepy again. But it was definitely worth it, not just because I kicked out people who had no business being there in the first place, but also because I was always afraid to say anything when it was more than one person, and everything worked out well. To be honest, I was afraid of any possible retaliation from their part in the upcoming days. But so far it's been 5 days and everything is okay. Update: for everyone who says to put gates up front, you are indeed absolutely right. It is something that the owners had previously discussed because the situation was too much. However, the cost was high, the owners were few, and there were still a couple of them who didn't want to pay their share, which means that the cost was even higher for those who wanted it. That was why we opted for at least blocking access to the basement for sanitary purposes, and hope to eventually come to an agreement for a gate up front. Till then, we can only keep our eyes open.